Of course, by now you know what is happening in the media, especially as it relates to immigration.
Sure.
What's your position? What are your thoughts on it?
I'll tell you this. I am really at ends and at odds with what is happening. I'm really taken aback with shame, and I'm really saddened by the entire fiasco, and I'm going to use that word fiasco,
Yes.
as to what's happening out there, what is causing harm to our people, and the way our people are being pulled into a distraction and deceit so that other people can actually benefit from it financially.
Funny you say that, because the impression that is out there is that this is the first time it's happening. And as you say, it's a distraction from the truth.
Yes.
Because what many people don't realize, that this administration, new though it may be, have not, and I doubt very much, the last time this president was in power or in office, he never deported as much people or as many people
Yeah.
as his predecessor did.
Yeah, you're right, sir. In fact, his predecessor, most of the people that he deported were
Yes.
actually cases that started with his predecessor. But I think what it is that I am ashamed of is not what the president is doing or the conception of what the president is doing, the perception of what the president is doing. I think what I'm ashamed of is what we are doing as a community to ourselves and to our people, and using the president as the scapegoat in all of this. And too often, Delroy, too often we see where lawyers are actually...
Say the word, Mary. It's exploiting the people's
You know,
fear.
I was trying to be careful
No,
about
no,
using
no,
the
but
word.
that's what it is.
Exploiting.
Really. Yes, that's typically what it is.
Yes.
They are using the people's fear to exploit them. And as we talk about that, and a lot of these people, and you have it, and you and I have been on the phone several times, and it has reached a situation now where I've advised my office to just, whenever a client calls in, to just, because I'm sure you are equally as bombarded as I am.
Unfortunately, yes.
With these unnecessary, should I say unnecessary? Well, it's fearful calls.
Yeah, but
Because
fearful.
of our colleagues
Yes.
who are out there.
Well, I'm not going to call them colleagues, because my colleagues are upright, reputable people.
Right.
So I'll say it for what it is. I'll say it for what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to this carefully, and Mr. Murray is going to give you his bit. We have been shaken up once again as a community because of the idea that a lot of us are going to be facing deportation. Now, deportation does not happen just like that.
No.
We have certain rights in this country.
Of course.
The Fourth Amendment, which we
Yes.
can discuss, the
Yes.
Fifth Amendment,
Yes.
and of course the Sixth Amendment.
Yes.
Now, the Fourth Amendment protects us from illegal search and seizures.
Seizure. Yes.
So when you hear that ICE is picking up people, ICE is going to come to your house, ICE is going to take you from the restaurant and the churches, it's not true.
No.
The Fourth Amendment says what? You are protected from illegal search and seizure. Which means what, Delroy? Tell us
Well,
what it means.
search and seizure mean typically, if you are stopped, you, first and foremost, you have the right to say to a person, or an agent of the state, let me use that terminology, to say, I do not consent to being searched.
Correct.
Okay? And by that, you are exercising your constitutional right. And more importantly, it doesn't matter if you are a citizen, an illegal immigrant, or an LPR, a lawful permanent resident. Once you set foot on this soil, you're entitled to the Constitution like anyone else.
So if what I'm hearing is correct, a police officer cannot just stop you. He has to have what's called probable
cause. Yeah.
Now, what exactly is probable cause? And I'll delve into this. Probable cause is when you're giving the police officer a belief that a crime has been committed, is being committed, or about to be committed. Now, if there's no way a police officer can articulate any of those three, he's not allowed to ask you even so much as your identification, as your name.
Or your ID.
Or your ID.
Yes.
So what this tells us under the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution is that ICE cannot just go up to an individual
No.
and grab them. Now, my experience, how long have you been doing this, Delroy?
Well, funnily,
Yeah.
you know, this is going to be my 30th year.
38. So I have
No, my 29th year. Because
29th
as you know, I did not study law here first. I studied law in England. So I'm actually a recipient of the English system. I went to law school in England.
Good.
And then I moved here and passed the bar here. So
Yes.
I passed the bar both in England, in the US,
Yes.
and I'm also called to the Jamaican bar.
Oh, excellent.
So you know, so I'm called to 3 jurisdictions.
There you go. There you go. So I've been doing this close to 32 years.
Right, so you're just ahead of me.
And in all those years, the Constitution has remained constant.
Yes.
Right? So ICE is looking for those people that you're looking for.
Yes.
So let's examine that. Who are they looking for?
All right, so generally, the ICE are looking for people who are, from my experience,
Yes.
are people who are already in removal proceeding.
Or I've already been removed and did not
return.
leave. And return, correct.
Okay.
Or did not leave.
Right, so either that they have been ordered removed, they failed to remove,
Yes.
they failed to leave, and are they, as you rightly said, they were removed from the country and
Yes.
they re-enter the country.
Correct.
But so long as you are in proceeding,
Yes.
and irrespective whether you are in proceeding or not, ICE does not have the right to just walk over to you. And they will use a deceptive method to
Yes.
say, okay, we have a reason to believe,
Yes.
and we need to see your ID. You do not have to produce it.
Now, the funny thing is that first, let us determine what ICE is. ICE is a branch of the Department of Homeland Security. And let's make a determination as to what the powers of ICE is.
Right.
ICE, ICE, Immigration and Customs
Custom
Enforcement. So can we both agree that the enforcement part make them a policing unit?
Yeah, they're a policing unit.
So they're not a court unit,
No.
they're not a judicial unit, they are just an enforcement unit, a police unit. Now, as a police unit, they are under instructions as to specifically who and where they're going to search
Yes.
and retrieve human beings.
Right.
They're under absolutely no instructions because anyone who gives them that instructions to go and just pick up people in a net would be either crazy or silly, one or the other. And there's no judge in the United States that's going to throw a wide blanket
No.
and give ICE that power.
No. No.
So when we hear...
Well, you know the word for it, Merrick. You're more of a criminal lawyer than I am. It's called a warrantless search.
It's a warrantless search, and there's no such thing that we should be afraid of at this particular point.
Exactly.
So what about the guy standing in the restaurant buying his food? What about the lady going to church? They're all illegal.
Yes.
So we're going to give each other some scenarios, and we're going to see how this plays out. So there's a guy going to a restaurant.
Yes.
There's a lady going to a church. And it just so happens that ICE is there to pick up the chef, who is a known criminal, who was ordered removed, came back or did not leave. Now, you and I, we're dressed the way we are dressed, and we're in that restaurant ordering our food. Should we be afraid, yes or no, and why or why not?
No. Well, first and foremost, well, because I know the law, but I'm going to say a person
Forget that you're a lawyer.
Yes, a person who's standing there innocently has no reason to be fearful of ICE walking into the restaurant. Because as we have pointed out, ICE would have been targeting a particular individual. What I have noticed, and it's a general practice with police, they will try to engage individuals to the terminology would be probably the colloquial term, to feel you out. And you do not have to volunteer and answer any questions.
Now, that's the Fifth Amendment, isn't it?
That's the Fifth Amendment right.
Which states what?
You do not
You have the right
to remain silent. So, but and I think as you know quite clearly, and this is going back from my experience, from my studies as a lawyer, when I was at law school. I think there's a case law that came down that says police can tell.
Of course.
Yes.
Was that Terry versus Ohio?
I think it was something like
for the officer's safety. A police officer can lie in the course of his investigation.
Right.
However, as a criminal defense attorney and as an immigration practitioner, what we're here to do is to let you know that you can allow the police to lie. You have the ultimate right to remain silent.
Exactly.
So the way it works is that they'll say, look, we have some information on you. Your best friend or your wife told us about it. It's like, okay, I have the right to remain silent.
Which is another thing they use, Merrick, is to say that we have gotten a call.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So if someone calls you, what you should have done is to go to the judge, get a warrant,
Yes.
and come back and have the warrant executed against me. I'm not going to help you in your investigation.
How about this one? That you fit the profile or the description of a person that we're looking for.
But that could be racial profiling.
Well, it can be.
Yes.
And especially if you're coming out, say, of a store.
Yes.
And they say you're coming out of a known hot spot for drugs. So a police officer can lie. The idea is to remember the Fifth Amendment, the right to remain silent.
Your Fourth Amendment.
The Fourth Amendment. Now, we're going to speak about the Sixth Amendment later. Now, why are we speaking about the amendments? Because what is happening today, the fear mongering, the hyping, is causing people to forget. And as you rightfully say, once you're in the United States, these rights attach to you unconditionally.
Of course.
Right?
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, what Mr. Murray is saying, what I am saying is go about your lives, go about your business, whether you're here legally or illegally. If you have not committed a crime, about to commit a crime, or in the process of committing a crime, you have nothing to worry about.
Right.
Plus,
and what, just don't lose a thought. The next thing I'd want to tell our listeners, you don't have to walk, because I hear people tell it, so walk with documents and ID and all of that.
Agreed.
You do not have to do that. There's no law here, especially in the state of New York, that tells you that you have to do so. Most importantly, if you are asked your name, you do not even have to tell him, unless, as Mike Merrick pointed out, that you have committed a crime, you're in the process of committing a crime, or the police have reasonable suspicion to believe that you have committed a crime.
Right.
So you don't have to volunteer and give them any information at all. You just say to them, I wish to exercise my Fifth Amendment right.
Correct. Now, one of the things that I want to also mention, if a police officer stops you, the first thing I want you to do, especially if you know that you're not horsing around, you're not messing around, ask them for their ID.
Yes.
Do not take them on face value. The fact that they have a gun, a taser, a badge, a uniform, and a dog, don't take them on face value.
True.
Now, I'm not saying that they're crooks. I'm saying that you too have the right to question a police officer.
Of course.
Why did you stop me?
Yes.
What grounds, what articulable grounds did you stop me on? By the way, can I have your name and your badge number? And do you have a card?
Yes.
Who is your sergeant? What is your command? Right? No, you know this. You can expand on that some more.
Which is true. Because the first thing, if you feel that the police has stopped you illegally or unlawfully, and the police is moving to a position where he's escalating the situation, you can't, because by right, you know that the police, they are not supposed to be escalating a situation.
Correct.
Okay? You can demand to stop speaking with that officer and ask to speak with his superior.
Right.
Okay? And it's generally when that person comes on the scene, from what I've seen and my experience, having worked in the field as myself as an officer before becoming an attorney, that officer, that superior officer, will generally take charge of the conversation.
Yes.
And 9 times out of 10, the situation will be de-escalated.
Sure.
Because many times these young officers who are out there, they are, what's the word that you would say?
They're very cavalier, and they don't take the bull by the horn. They'd actually act with fear.